Hello, this is going to be for GS830. We're looking into your dad who has passed away. I'm very sorry for your loss. And also looking into about your mom. What is your dad's first message to you? What do you need to hear the most? Your truth will bring out the worst in others. Your love will tingle what they've numbed. Your authenticity will provoke closed minds. Your aliveness will reveal many mental prisons, but help to set even more minds free. So right off the bat, he's definitely very proud of you for whatever it is that you're doing, or especially whatever it is that you're speaking on or working through energetically. Controlling your reactions and responses to others who intentionally trigger you will be one of the most powerful tools in your healing journey. I think we both know who this one is directed at. That's pretty powerful. This one is the one I think he really needed you to hear, because you have been controlling your reactions and responses, and he's telling you that he's proud of you for that. Your path is more difficult because your calling is higher. Make it happen, shock everyone. And there's the key. So he's giving you some kind of key right now. What's the key? Oh, wasting no time. 5 of Wands, 8 of Wands, Queen of Swords. Something that you're meant to unpuzzle and work through in terms of the why. So when we're looking into your mom here, he wants to give you the why things were the way they were, because he feels as though once you have it, that's the key that will help you maintain control of your reactions and responses and allow you to speak your truth without holding back or without holding on to energy from the past. We have 8 of Cups, so we have another 8 because we have the 8 of Wands. So we're working through how our mind manages or directs our emotions. The mental emotional connection there is what we're working through. So let's start with, because relationships are mirrors, that would mean that she then struggles with that, the mental emotional connection. So where did that start from? 8 of Pentacles reversed. There we have another 8. 9 of Pentacles reverse. Page of Wands. 5 of Swords. So with her, it seems as though she never quite was doing enough or doing the right things. It seems as though there was a lot put on her at a young age where she had to be older than she was or more mature than she was, or she was expected to kind of just be held to a higher standard. But here's the thing. It's interesting because with her, it was like, I'm holding you to a higher standard. And like, no offense, but whoever that was holding her to a higher standard, it wasn't because they were like, there's something in you that's special. It was like, I'm kind of lazy and I don't feel like putting in all the effort. And then she learned that from that dynamic, and projected that same thing onto you, but it was because there was like a light in you. So it was like almost like what people did to her, but for a better reason, if that makes sense. Not a better reason, but like a more valid reason, because she felt like people did this same energetic love hostage, like energetically holding your love hostage until the other person can prove themselves worthy of it, I guess you could say. But it's almost like nothing that could be done would ever fulfill whatever the standards are of proof that's there. It's like, you need to prove your love to me before I can show you love, but there's no real way that you could actually prove it. Is that fair to say? She distracted herself with other things to keep herself busy so that she didn't have to figure out what it was that was causing that emotional blockage. Is that fair to say? Yeah, she wasn't sure how to work her way out of the ego wound that had been placed on her from a young age. Yeah, I didn't know how to get it back. Get back what was taken from her. What was taken? What energetically was taken? Secret society in reverse. She came to know that the people who were around her, oh, she felt like nobody ever truly loved her. Almost like she thought or felt as though they were saying the quiet part out loud with their actions in terms of their inability to show her love, and then hence she believed that what she was being shown was love because it was all that she ever knew. And she projected that onto you. It's almost like she learned better though, and she was able to do that with other people. But with you, it's almost like she's like reliving her childhood through you, on almost like putting you through what she went through so that she can be on this side of it and understand it. But it's not a conscious thing, it's a subconscious or unconscious thing. Is that fair to say? End of the road. End of the road. Where are we going with this? Witness and oh, pain needs to be witnessed to be transmuted and worked through, and she can't figure out how to stop doing what she's already been doing because she's not sure how to allow others or herself to witness this wound that she's not even sure how to explain or understand that's there. Is that fair to say? Secrets. Oh, that was what your dad wanted you to know. Secrets out. Is that true? That, yeah. Why the home was the way it was. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. All right. So he wants you to know that it was never anything with you as a person. It was a pre-programming that was existing that on a higher and deeper level, she knew that she had to understand this trauma and wound in order to transmute it. Consciously, she wasn't aware of this. Subconsciously, unconsciously, higher conscious, yes. And was on a mission to do that, right? And essentially, you were like I don't want to say target, but I don't know what other word to use. Not target in the sense of like target, but I don't know, just like a different way to use target. I'm sure you kind of know what I mean. Like where she could put the wound onto and then look at it from a different perspective and try to understand. But again, it's not a conscious thing. So it was never that it was, you said that she never loved you, right? So it's like, is that true? To some extent, I guess you could say yes, but to some extent, no, because what she was doing or giving or projecting onto you was what she believed that love was, even though she did learn at some point that it wasn't that, but she had already started this dissecting and studying of her wound by projecting it onto you unconsciously. But again, this is like all not like consciously she made choices and consciously she acted in ways that validated that she was doing this, projecting the wound and then trying to dissect it and study it, but consciously she wasn't aware that that's why she was making the choices. If that makes sense. What else do you need to know about this? The Magician, Seven of Cups, Ten of Swords reversed. So you have more options than you think you do to work through this. I feel like you think that you need to have a conversation with her and get closure with her. But I feel like your dad is saying that this is actually the closure, because here's the thing. If everything is a mirror, the wound that has been placed on you, the mother wound that has been placed on you, is a projection of someone who needed to understand their own wound so they could heal it. So now you're getting the information to understand your wound so you can heal it. So you no longer need the closure from her. Oh, your dad swooped in and was like, here's, oh, it's almost like there's two options that people can get closure. There's internal and external. And if you get one to 100% of understanding, then you don't need both. But between both, you need 100%. So either you need like 50% internal, 50% external, or some variation, 75, 25, whatever. But this is like, he's giving you the ability to get 100% closure from this internally so that you don't need externally anything from her. Because he knows that at this point, you're not going to be able to get the closure that you deserve and desire, because you, instead of projecting your wound, have gone inside and tried to understand, which essentially, every time you do that, it's like a dig another shovel and then throw the dirt. Dig. So you're creating this depth, right? Where the opposite happens when you project. Basically, when you project, you take dirt and you put it and you make a hole, or make a mountain, make a big pile of dirt, right? So you have this depth that she could not possibly reach to, because instead of digging, she created a wall of dirt that she's now trapped in some way. So it's like, he knows that the depth that you desire could not be reached through the external closure, and he's trying to find a way to give you the internal closure so you can get that to 100% and not need the external closure. I am sorry, please forgive me. For not being able to find a way to convey this to you while I was still there, so that you didn't have to spend so much time questioning your worth when it was never for a millisecond anything about your worth. There's the puzzle pieces, and it's in reverse, so it's like he's handing you from heaven the puzzle pieces. Although you may not understand it now, everything happens for a reason. Made you stronger, grew your character. He's like, even though he's frustrated, I don't know if you'd use the word frustrated, that's not the word. I don't know, some other word like frustrated, like an angel version of frustrated. He's that about, like, I wish I could have found a way to convey this to you while I was still there. But at the same time, looking at it from his perspective, he's like, I do see how much you've grown, even though it was difficult and hard, how much you've grown through the process of trying to understand this on your own before he was able to understand them thoroughly enough to find a way to give the coding to get you the proper message. Is that fair to say? My mind is free. Yeah, that's fair to say. Okay, that was direct. What is your main... No, first, what's your mom's main shadow from... Like, whenever her wound originated, what was the main incoming dark energy for her, okay? Self-absorbed. Seek to feel what others are feeling. Express empathy to others to overcome this. So she was never able to overcome this because it came out in reverse. Self-absorption. So she was made to feel unimportant, undervalued, not heard, not seen. Kind of like a sit down and shut up type of energy. And this isn't an excuse. I'm just trying to explain to you her behavior. But self-absorbed. So then she then projected that to, however she understood self-absorption, she then projected onto her relationship with you and was very selfish with her energy, because she was projecting, how do I heal this wound that I'm placing on her to understand it? And again, that's subconscious or deep conscious, not conscious, but consciously we make decisions that support what's going on in our psyche, even if it's like deeply happening. So that was her. What was the main incoming negative energy to you from her during childhood? Maybe the one that you can't really remember, but once I say it, it'll kind of make sense and you'll be like, oh crap, that's right. Obsessiveness. Write down what you are obsessing over. Realize that it is emotionally draining you. So she would get stuck on something, and that's all she could see. It was like magnetically attached to an issue or topic, and then tunnel vision until I am able to unstuck myself from it. So then self-absorbed plus obsessiveness during your childhood would probably look a lot like conditional love. Like, if you earn my love, if you are worthy of my love, if you do this, then I'll do this type of thing. And also it works in the opposite way, where if you do something I don't like, I'm just gonna cut off all access to me until I feel like I want to open up that access again. So that is likely how that looked when you were a child. What was your... What's the one energy that you struggle the most to overcome right now, that has been programmed into your subconscious or consciousness because of this self-absorbed obsessiveness? Narrow-minded. You have a limited outlook on perspective and thoughts. What makes you think your thoughts are solid gold? So this to me is going back through, what do you believe about life, or what do you believe about yourself that could be kind of tainted by... I don't know how else to explain this, so don't take this the wrong way, but think of it as like your brain is a supercomputer and her mindset is like a virus. So what about her mindset could have gotten into your supercomputer and tainted the way that you're processing certain things about life? This would show up in ways of, you think your dreams are too big, you think your healing is not possible, you think you can't overcome things just because you haven't been able to yet, you think that because it hasn't happened yet, it's not able to, just because of that's what other people projected onto you. So those things are what needs to be kind of looked at from a higher perspective, now that you know the why. That's what it is. You want it to stay tunnel visioned in this. Again, this might be unconsciously or subconsciously. You want it to stay tunnel visioned until you could understand it, because your higher consciousness knew, in order to get rid of this wound, because this wound was projected onto you, and the wound was projected onto you because the other person wanted to understand the wound. So in order for you to transmute the wound, you then need to understand the wound. So now this should be able to open up to a wider perspective, so that you're able to heal what previously you couldn't heal, because you didn't want to get your perspective too wide and get too far away from what you needed to uncover or discover or transmute in order to get rid of this wound. That came out really quickly. Your next chapter is going to cause a lot of people to wish they had treated you better. Your dad is direct. Holy crap. Your next chapter is going to cause a lot of people to wish they had treated you better. Woo. People will criticize your message, then repackage it and sell it. Keep an active ear and be mindful of snakes in the grass. This one, for some reason, I feel like is not about your mom. This is something else that's going on in your life that he just wanted to let you know as well. Oop, that came out quick. Timeline issue in reverse. You have more time than you think you do, and someone's trying to make you feel like you don't. What else does he want you to know? Don't spend time around anyone who makes you feel like you need to water down your passion. What the world needs is more people living their passion. Very true. And then I'm going to pull one card for what was your soul lesson from his death, and what is your soul lesson that you need to kind of graduate from when it comes to your mom. So for him, the law of healing, transform your trauma, transform your life. So he wants you to, now that you are able to get the closure from this avenue, take all of that energy, that because there's still feelings generated there that need to then be transmuted. So take all that and use it to create something almost like in his memory or in his honor, because there's still a lot of pain from his death that needs to be transmuted. But it's almost like you didn't know how to let it out until you could understand if it went with this pain or this pain, if that makes sense. And then from your mom, what's your soul lesson? The law of truth. Love unconditionally and create healthy boundaries. So I said it was like a conditional love because that's what she had been taught. So your job then, because you now have understood the wound and can give yourself the closure and healing, now it's to become exactly who you need it. Your job right now, your healing will come when you become exactly who you needed to save you when you were a child. Because then you can save your own inner child. And it will happen as you step into the energy of being that person. And I wish you all the best. And your dad is definitely with you. He is very direct about that. Let me get a token. When you see this symbol, shuffle a song or listen to the next song that you hear, and that will be a message from him. You can make a playlist and shuffle the playlist of like songs that remind you of him, or, oh, it's a check mark with the number 81. Check mark, number 81, and there's a pair of sunglasses on the back, so maybe a combination of them or something, but when you see them, and that's number 27. 27 and 81. I wish you all the best. This is for BY48. After COVID twice and pneumonia, you're wondering what you can do to restore your health. So let's see, what was your soul lesson in, because you got sick a whole bunch in a short period of time. So what was your soul lesson from this? The law of perception. Look beyond the illusion to the one truth. So almost like it was meant to help push you into a corner so that you had to see things differently when it comes to what was important or what needed healing. You got to be so confident in knowing who you are that anyone else's idea of you solely belongs to them. It seems as though there was some energy clearing that was kind of needed in this period as well. Not with the sickness, but with the time that you spent alone with your thoughts because of said sickness. Oh, yep. Take care of your thoughts when you're alone. Take care of your words when you're with other people. All right, so what health-wise are we looking at? King of Cups, Seven of Wands reversed. Seven of Wands reversed makes me think of like there's still some little loose ends that are not being really paid attention to that would really benefit you if you did pay attention to them. Kind of like taking care of the little things so the big things can fall into place. And then with the King of Cups here, there is emotionally, you're stepping into kind of getting it back together after a period of kind of needing to just be not okay, right? You had this period where you were like, I can't fake okay. I'm very stressed. I'm very frustrated. I can't just walk around pretending like I'm happy when I'm not. So you let yourself feel it. Yeah, temperance. You let yourself feel your feelings and not be okay for a minute. And now you're coming back into stepping forward from that. It says the seasonings in there are joy, sorrow, instant anger, and justice. So it's like you felt all the feelings, you mixed them in the blender, and now you're finally moving forward from letting yourself experience that because you needed to, because you were like, this really is not fun, back to back to back. So you had to let yourself feel that. The Empress and the Five of Cups reversed. So you're moving forward from where you were, but there is still something that's really holding you back. It almost feels like something like a nutritional element or water intake, or like there's something like that that's key, that once you shift it, it's going to make a big deal in other ways. It almost feels like you're overthinking. Ace of Pentacles, and that has a plate on it, as I was just saying, like nutrition or something. There's definitely something that can be tweaked in that regard. Ace of Pentacles is like giving yourself the opportunity to have a fresh start by grounding yourself in every element. Like there's something still that's off there. Nine of Clubs. Time and space, mental and physical distance, achievement and career success. Something missing, movement, like it's movement. There's not enough, I don't know if it's like mental stimulation or physical exercise. I know that's difficult because you were just sick, but but there's something like that in combination. It's either food or liquid. One of them is off, and then there's also like a movement element that's off. But you need to kind of create some kind of routine with it, because it can't be like a one and done thing. It's almost like you need to have like some kind of checklist that you can refer to every day that's like, did I do this? Did I take care of that? With like holding yourself accountable, but almost making it fun. Like if I do everything on this list and check it off for a whole week, I get to either have a day off from this, or I get to, I don't know, like reward yourself in some way. I think that's what it is there's a lack of rewarding yourself. And look, we had the 9 and now we have the 8. So it's taken a step backwards so you can take a step forward. And taking a step backwards would be sitting down and taking an inventory of your life right now. What's going well, what's not, what's working for you, what's not, what is not being taken care of 100%. Your job and routine, yeah, day to day, group conversations, your environment. Yeah, it's like something routine. It's not something like you need to go make this appointment or go do this or that. This is like day to day, a shift that may seem small but adds up to something like astronomical. What does the change have to do with? Fire in reverse. Putting out the fire. Fire in reverse. Fire in reverse. Fire would be fast. Fire in reverse would be slow. There's a need to slow down your thoughts by focusing externally on something. So again, this could be physical or this could be like intellectual. You're leaving yourself alone with your thoughts too much, and then it's spiraling backwards instead of being productive forward, because you're not having anything externally to focus on that's pulling you forward. Is that fair to say? Bloodline in reverse. It's like you're going up to the line but not crossing it. You're doing the right internal work. Oh, bloodline in reverse. Blood's on the inside. You're doing the right internal work, but you have nothing to focus on externally. It's like, I give this example sometimes of being at the bottom of like a deep hole or like well, and you have the rope and you can climb up out, but you need something up top to secure the rope to, so that you have something to climb out on. It's like that. It's like you've done the internal work, you've made the shifts, and the shifts that you haven't made yet, you're aware that they need to be made and you're able and capable to do it, but you don't have that driving force pulling you forward. You don't have the rope tied to a tree. So you need to find some kind of purpose that gets you out of this lower mindset of kind of hopelessness, because it was like back to back to back to back, and it's like, come on, like what the heck. So you need kind of to reignite that hope again by giving yourself something to look forward to or look to. Is that fair to say? Yes. Give yourself the desire to really fully live again, and express again. So let's look at spiritually. What are the main things going on? Being in service of love, your soul is magnetic. So allowing yourself to experience joy and love of yourself again, and finding that once you do that, you'll get opportunities that just kind of present themselves to you that allow you to start to realign spiritually with what you feel has been kind of cut off. Oh, care for yourself. Yes. Okay. Take responsibility for your life as a creative adventure. So it's about, it's about giving yourself that thing to tie the rope onto so you can pull yourself forward. Great awakening, walk in your truth, stand firm in your light. There's also a feeling of needing to know that the actual healing is possible and available for you. It's almost like you partially are scared to heal spiritually. This isn't physical, this is touching on the spiritual element. It's almost like part of you is scared to fully heal spiritually, because when you healed physically, it was like heal and then get it taken away, heal, get it taken away, heal, get it taken away. And you know how much work you've put into the spiritual healing of regaining hopefulness after you've felt hopeless from sick, heal, sick, heal, sick, heal. So you know how much work you've put in, and it's like, man, I'm exhausted and I know that there's more work to do, but like, am I just going to heal and then get it taken, just like what happened with the physical? And that's not what's going to happen, because as you build your spiritual endurance, you just get stronger. There's not backward steps in that. There's backward steps in health, but spiritually, once you learn something, you can't unlearn it. You may forget it or lose access to it fully, but it's still there. So it's not going to be the same as physical. Life without knowledge is death in disguise. You'll continue to attract the same person in different bodies until you show up for the universal lesson. So yeah, you have learned the lesson that you were meant to learn through the back-to-back sicknesses. So you don't need to transfer that same lesson over to spiritual, because you've learned the physical. You need to be the one to reignite that hope. You're not going to be able to always find it externally. You have to be the one to take those steps. And that's a lesson that you've already passed. So you don't need to worry about taking steps forward and backwards in the spiritual sense, because you've kind of mastered the ability to not have to do that, because you've mastered the physical lesson. And that's the Fool reversed on the floor. It's like you have already taken the leap of faith on yourself, but it's like you doubt yourself and kind of want to re-hibernate into a security blanket. And the next step forward, healing spiritually, is kind of regaining the confidence that you're not going to lose it once you get it in terms of that healing. And it's like all this stuff is flying out of her purse, but it's in reverse. So it's like everything you put out energetically in terms of desire to heal and progress is coming back to you now in terms of spiritual healing, because you've done the physical work. What are any wounds that need to be addressed? Inconsistent. Think about your thoughts, actions, and routines. Does it serve you well on a daily basis? Yeah, there's something like day to day. It's not something drastic that needs to be done, but it's something that will make a drastic change once it is done. Narrow-minded and self-absorbed. These are the two cards that came out in the last reading as well. It's how this translates to you in terms of getting through sicknesses. The people who have helped you on the medical side have made you believe that there's like one option or one path, or like only one way this can go, or only one, you'll experience this, then this, then this, then this. But you're able to access this deeper healing from the inside out. And narrow-minded with self-absorbed, it's almost like you've been made by other people to consider the worst case scenario as very likely. And it's like, deep down, you knew that there was better options than to just kind of give up, and you fought through every time. So you've learned that universal lesson, but that was what was kind of holding you back in a way, is because you had to learn that other people can't put a lid on the potential for your life. Judgment and Wheel of Fortune in reverse. This feels like a lesson that kind of started in childhood, developing, and came to a head through this period of sickness where, how do I put this? Not that like your sickness was your fault or anything like that, but it's like the timing of your sickness, it happened because you were at that point then ready to be able to sit with all of your thoughts and emotions and unhealed wounds and all of that, because COVID twice and then pneumonia, you weren't really moving around a lot. There's not much you could do. You kind of were left with your thoughts. And if that would have happened a little bit earlier in your life, it's almost like there was still some wounds that would have blocked you from being able to access the deeper wounds that needed healing during that time period. So this happened when you were ready for it, essentially, and it's going away now because you've learned what you needed to from it. So it's kind of like a train that comes in and out of the station. The train is going away now. So you're coming into restoring. You just need to keep taking one step after another and focus on the little things so the big things can fall into place, especially when it comes to routine and mindset. 9 of Swords and King of Wands. 9 of Swords here is, look at all the pictures on the wall. It's like going back through the experiences that you had and kind of picking them apart in terms of what do you feel that you could have been doing differently before these sicknesses happened that could have made you handle them better when they did happen, and then start to make those changes. So if your diet would have been better, if you would have been moving or exercising, whatever it is for you, it's like what could have helped you handle those things better and do them now, because that kind of puts it into place where you're continuing to move forward even without really actively putting one foot in front of the other. It's just kind of like an automatic thing. You're making the changes that automatically keep you further and further away from having to re-experience this. Four of Wands, so this is like the victory, this is like your victory lap. This is like accepting the healing that you know you're deserving of. So what changes need to be made physically? 7 in reverse, codependent. So in reverse, codependent, hyper independence about something. So this to me is like feelings, emotions, thoughts. It could be that you are not really, you're suppressing and not expressing, and that kind of is starting to feel heavy energetically. It's almost like because you were sick, you feel like nobody wants to hear anything that you have to say because you feel like it's just drawn out and annoying. But your emotions don't stop just because it happened multiple times. So you still need to find a way to express them. A curse or double trouble in reverse. So the curse is over. The chapter of back-to-back sicknesses, you're past that now, because this also is alcohol, medication, and drugs, but it was in reverse. Something hidden, but it was in reverse. Setbacks in reverse. Plan reversal in reverse. So reverse, you're going back in the right direction. And difficulties and frustrations in reverse. So you've overcome that point. So now you're able to focus on, if I really stick to these changes and enact them, I know that I'm not doing it for nothing, because I'm not just going to fall back into the same thing. That was physical. What about spiritual? Jack of Diamonds and Queen of Clubs in reverse. So organizing, but it was in reverse. Business matter in reverse. Friend in reverse. So this to me again goes back to the hyper independence. You have these very high walls up that you need it, and rightfully so, to protect yourself. Almost like emotionally, think of it as you being in one of those situations where everybody has to wear like a full mask and everything to come in and see you. Like emotionally, that's what's been happening, and you need to recognize now that it's safe for others, or it's safe for you to be around others now, or vice versa, in terms of emotions, because you had these walls up and it's starting to turn into a little bit of emotional blockage. So it needs to kind of gradually, and as you're comfortable, start taking one step at a time beyond your comfort zone when it comes to expressing your feelings again. Find someone in your life and say to them, hey, I have stuff that I need to express, but I feel annoying when I do it because I was sick back to back to back and it's been talked about so much, but I have this that I need to express. Do you have the space for me to express this, and can you assure me before I start that you understand that I'm not trying to be annoying, but I have to get this out? Just say it. And if that person says yes, express. If you don't have anybody that can happen with, grab your phone, pretend that it's someone else on the other side, or pretend it's yourself, record yourself talking, express it. You can write a letter, express it, but it needs to be expressed. You're holding stuff in because you feel like you're too much, but it's not your fault that you had back-to-back-to-back sicknesses. And you worked through the emotions of the first one, you worked through like half the emotions of the second one, and then the second half of the second one and the full third one, all the emotions, you're like, I need to keep this inside because I feel like we already talked about this and it's too much for everybody to handle. But energy cannot be destroyed, only transmute it from one form to another. So you need to express that in some way. And I have a Jack of Diamonds here as I'm saying this, and this is like a younger family member, thinks of future, good intentions, a student. So maybe this is like a younger family member you could talk to about it, or maybe it's just representing like you need to release and heal your inner child, because it's almost like your inner child is trapped in there with this wound that you won't let out, because it's like you only have one storage closet and you have your inner child wound in the same place with this wound, and your inner child's like, get this out, get this wound out. It needs to be expressed. So this could be pointing towards a younger family member to be the one that you need to talk to. Or again, it's just doing this is going to be very freeing and healing for your inner child. And it's almost like you'll be able to want to take care of yourself more easily and effortlessly in the things that you find difficult now, once your inner child is not trapped in the room with this suppressed emotion. Be permanently unavailable to anyone who thought you were an option, and there's fireworks. So anyone who made you feel like you had to hold in these emotions in the first place, don't go to them. And at the same time, when you are healed and they want to come around again, you don't have time. Sorry. Your anger is the part of you that knows mistreatment and abuse are unacceptable. Your anger knows you deserve to be treated well and with kindness. Your anger is the part of you that loves you. So there is a part of you that's still angry that you had to go through this, but then there's a part of you that's judging the anger because you're like, oh, well, other people go through this and that and all of this, and I should just get over it. You need to remind yourself that your feelings and emotions are there for a reason, and they're trying to tell you or alert you about something that needs to be healed, because they want to protect you by making you stronger. So shift your perspective to look at it in that way so that you can forgive yourself for not being able to work through the anger of this sooner, because you deserve to be angry about it. But you also deserve to look at that anger, understand it, and transmute it and use it to make yourself stronger. And I wish you all the best. This is going to be for DM. You asked about expanding your intuition and discovering a new way of sharing your gifts, your capabilities, and what to do to expand. Oh, so the first card that came out was Becoming. You can easily tap into people's fantasies and become them, multifaceted, complex, but well-rounded, making you hard to read. So you have kind of a barrier. It's like a one-way mirror type of thing where you can read very clearly into other people's energies, but have them not really know that you're doing it. So that obviously can be used in a manipulative sense, but it can also be used in like a healing sense, because you're able to see what they need and help give that to them without them realizing that you're doing that, so that they don't put up that energetic barrier to try and block you out. Witch in reverse and telepathy. So you have kind of, it may not be in your family line this lifetime, but you have it in your family line that you're able to access these higher abilities and gifts. Telepathy, it's almost like you've been on a path that your guides, or maybe even someone from your family line in a previous lifetime, has been guiding you purposely to get you to this point. So you're on the right track. You're meant to be asking these questions and trying to figure it out. Oh, look at the mask on there. Stay quiet about your goals. Soon the results will be doing all the talking. So you've been kind of maybe keeping this a little bit more personal. And as you said, you're trying to discover a new way of sharing your gifts. So this to me is saying you're approaching that period where you're going to be in the chapter of sharing what you've been learning, and you'll learn more as you share. It's like there's a point of the journey that you need to be 100% prepared before you step out, and then once you step out you learn more, but you need to have 100% completion of that period before that, and you're approaching that 100% of that period. Does that mean there's not more to learn? No, it means that you're ready to learn out in the field, so to speak. Tears are proof that emotions become physical, so there is a release that's needed before you can see the next step, because it took a lot of pain, it took a lot of shadow work, it took a lot of research and soul searching to get to this point, and there's a lot of emotions that came with that, but you've been focused on forward progress. So now you need to kind of look internally and see what emotions need to be released before you step into the field, the outside accumulation of what you've learned internally. Your energy asks others to rise up, and not everyone is willing to go where they would grow. So it's almost like you're being called to focus on healing these wounds right now, because you're going to be triggering a lot of people, and that's part of being a healer. That's part of sharing your gifts, right? But it's almost like in order to be fully prepared for that, the Chariot, you're going to be doing this. It's already in motion, right? You're walking over to the car. You're going to be triggering people, and you need to be more healed in some regards so that those triggers don't bounce back and re-trigger unhealed wounds within you. So that's the next step before you start getting active, like in the field. I don't know what this first one says, but all I can say is A-R-O-T. So to me, that could be tarot. And then it says risk, gain, and C-H-O... or maybe chores, I don't know, the little things that they're holding. So risk, gain, you're going to have to take a risk, but there will be a gain from that. Tarot to me is just like some kind of spirituality, whatever feels right to you, kind of starting to take steps forward in learning how to decipher the messages that you're getting and how to then relay them to others. That seems like the next step for you. The Hierophant reverse. So an Ace of Pentacles. This is like giving yourself an opportunity to look at certain beliefs systems that make you feel like maybe you're not doing the right thing, or maybe you shouldn't be looking into this. This could be religion from the past. It's almost like you are creating this whole other realm of spirituality that fits you. And there's some pieces of what you believed about spirituality in the past. You believe these things to be true, and they're not meant to come with you into the new environment. So before you can go into the new environment completely, you need to know what can't come with you. And there's some beliefs, 10 of Wands. There's some beliefs that it's almost like 10 of Wands is a completion of a cycle, and Wands is like making me feel like people made you feel like there was a certain extent you could push it to, but then you had to stop there. Like you can't step into the role of a healer. You can't step into the role of a teacher because you don't have this or that, or that's kind of what's been ingrained in you, is that you can't dream that big, or you can't do that much, or something like that. And that's, the Tower. That's a big hurdle that once you really unpack it and address it, why do I feel this way? It's going to release you to move forward. And I feel like you know that this wound is there, but you're not sure how to understand it fully. So what can we say to make you understand it fully? 9 of Cups, Knight of Pentacles reversed, Queen of Cups. So this could be a feminine energy from childhood or from younger in your life. And basically tied in your emotions to how they viewed spirituality. So if you did anything beyond the realm of what they viewed as spiritually correct, it's almost like a magnet pulled on your emotions and made you feel bad, or like a bad person, or like you're doing something wrong. That's the knot that needs to be untangled here. He's mowing the lawn, but it's not a lawn. It's like a floor inside of a building, but it's in reverse. So it's like allowing externally growth where previously it was mowed down. So it's like you got close before, and then you were like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, or maybe this is, not right based off of someone else's perception of what is right and wrong. And then we have the 9 of Cups. So, and this is like a Christmas tree, Christmas presents. It's like making me think that this is always something that you knew in your soul you would eventually be doing. You just had to go through and get the proof to convince yourself that you had the purest of intentions, and that even if other people who you valued their opinion on other things saw this from a different perspective, you could still move forward with what you knew in your heart of hearts to be right. So I think that that's a lot that has been holding you back in some regard. 8 of Pentacles, the Emperor. because you're committed. You're all the way committed to this, and that's all you need to do. The Emperor reverse is here about releasing control and not having the how figured out, because the how is not up to us. The how is up to God. The how is up to our life path to fill in the pieces. We just have to figure out, I want to experience this. And that's what manifestation is. It's kind of sending out into the universe, this is what I want to experience. And then we draw in ways that fit into our storyline of that experience, what we need next on our soul evolution path. So this is about kind of releasing control and just taking one step forward at a time, in terms of first look inward, unpack that wound that's in there, and that will release you to freely move forward. And then to freely move forward, just stay very committed, stay very focused on learning. And as you, it's like every time you learn something new, you get like a coin. And then every time you get a coin, because this is your life path, it fulfills you and it gives you another coin. So instead of just one coin, you're getting double. You're drawing into you examples and methods of increasing your abilities as you just continue to step forward in the intention of doing so. What is the soul lesson that's holding you back? The law of divine will. Stop waiting for a sign. The universe responds to your beliefs. So action. It's action. It's first you had to convince yourself that this was something that you were worthy of and that people would take you seriously, and then you had something to offer because you were always made to feel the opposite of that. And now you're recognizing and realizing that that actually has become your superpower, because that's what will connect you with other people who have gone through similar experiences. What is your soul lesson now? The law of secondary causation. Stop reacting and start being the person you've always desired to be. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. So second causation, this was your first choice. You were talked out of it being your first choice, and now we're looping back to realizing that your soul isn't letting it go because there's something to it in terms of what you're meant to be doing. So start being the person you've always desired to be. I said this is something that long ago your soul knew, oh, this is it, and then you were talked out of it, and now you're finding your way back. 4 of Swords reversed and 10 of Swords. Yeah. The environment that you were in was not helpful to you aligning with your gifts. So it's not that your gifts went away. It's just that you needed to be facing here, right? But you were facing here because the dial of your environment caused you to shift. So it took you a long time to recognize this was happening and rotate yourself back to facing the right direction. And now it's not about finding the right path, it's just about walking forward on that path. So what needs healing? Justice reversed, King of Swords reversed, 8 of Cups reversed. Recognizing that just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean that it's not supposed to happen. Recognizing that you're not behind or you're not late because you've needed every day and moment of your previous experiences to prepare you to be ready to share your gifts, because there's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes. And it's almost like the more you dig, the deeper you're able to access your gifts. And some people need to be very convinced that the gifts are real, so they need kind of a deeper hole so that when they make that initial jump, they're like, oh crap, this is it, right? So you have been digging this hole the entire time so that when you reach that depth, you have convinced yourself that you're worthy of this and that it's the right thing to do. You get 10 of Wands, completion of a cycle. And it's like all of the brooms and everything, you're cleaning up whatever was holding you back in your mind previously and allowing yourself to unstuck yourself and move forward. So you're already putting in the work. It's already happening. It's just about continuing to walk forward into it. It all starts with how you feel about yourself. Be hopeful and consistent with your evolution. To attract better, you must become better. So it's the example that I give that we're a ball of light, and essentially that ball of light attracts to it. It's magnetic and attracts to it proof of what it is in essence. That's our soul attracting to us proof of us being this divine creator of our reality while we're in this social experiment of sorts to find compassion and deeper evolution than we would be able to find if we were just on our own. So the conditioning of the world then puts layers and layers and layers over this ball of light, so we become less prone to magnetically draw to us proof of what we are, and we instead draw proof of what we are not, which is the layers, because it still draws to it, but it's drawing to it the mask that's over it. So it's about removing the layers of who you're not to uncover or rediscover who you are and always were in essence. So you're unraveling your ball of light now and taking off the conditioning of the world, specifically something like religious, like putting a lid on your spiritual potential because there was a religious barrier there of some sort, and you're recognizing that there's a different perspective that this barrier can be, and if you look at it from that perspective, it allows you to feel better, because you're feeling like, okay, this makes more sense, because when the barrier's there, I'm doing what I'm doing with good intention, but the barrier makes me feel like I have to have bad intentions because I'm not doing the right thing in terms of the barrier. But you're realizing that this barrier was just one person's perspective and it might not be 100% correct. So you're able to do what you're doing with good intention, knowing that you're doing it with good intention, and knowing that just because one person perceives it to be a way that it's not, you know in your heart of hearts that you're doing what your soul is calling you to do. Don't expect small-minded thinkers to comprehend your big dreams. They haven't learned to stretch their thinking yet. They're either not willing or too afraid. That sums it up. All right, so what do you need to focus on to strengthen your gifts? 3 of Wands. Yeah, it's about starting to share. It really is. It's about knowing that you're worthy and deserving and not doing anything wrong, and that you're stepping into what your soul is calling you to do, and beginning to start to share, but first sharing it with yourself. So what are you intending to share with the world? Healing, knowledge, leading back to a higher perspective. Make sure that you have that down packed before you begin to share it. 2 of Swords, it's like, I'm ready to eat, but the blindfold is still on. I'm not seeing something all the way clearly yet, but the food is on the table. I'm ready, I'm prepared. I have the fork and the, or whatever that is, and the knife in my hand. What's blocking it? 6 of Cups, inner child wound. It's that perspective. It's a lemonade stand, right? It's like lemonade stand. A child looks at a lemonade stand as like a real business. You're really making money. Child or adult looks at it as like a fun thing, right? It's shifting perspective in that way. Obviously not in terms of fun versus not fun, but in terms of this is right versus this is wrong. There was 2 different perspectives, and you have finally given yourself the proof, like worldly proof, that what you're doing is not against what you feel is right, even if someone else may have felt that way. 6 of Cups, the World and Death reversed. Closing a previous chapter so that you can rebirth yourself into something that is more aligned with that ball of light, that ball of energy. How do we do that? What is the inner child wound specifically? The High Priestess reversed, blocking your gifts. The Star reversed. The inner child wound is that you know that you could have been doing this spiritual work sooner, but again, look at it as those moments weren't wasted time. It was all tools in your arsenal that made you stronger, wiser, more capable, more ready. So you felt as though back then you were ready, and in essence you were, because it was blocked. It was blocked so you didn't achieve it, which means that now you're just that much more ready, as long as you don't look at it as wasted time or being behind. Yeah, 6 of Wands, strength, and 5 of Wands reversed. Don't let your mind stop you from realizing that this is what you're meant to be doing. 6 of Wands is kind of relating to 6 of Cups here. 6 of Cups would be the inner child wound. 6 of Wands would be the passion ignited once the inner child wound is addressed. The inner child wound is whatever's holding you back from feeling like this is right to do. Get a card to represent your inner child wound. Inner child wound. Greed in reverse. Greed in reverse. Not greedy. Selfless. Oh, you're light. people didn't know how to accept the amount of love that you were able to give because you came already with this depth. So because that was intimidating to other people, instead of digging their own depth to meet you there, it was easier for them to just pour a little dirt in the hole each time so that you weren't as deep. Is that fair to say? Yes. Okay, that was direct. Gotcha. Okay, so you actually have much more to offer than you're even still giving yourself credit for. Is that fair to say? Intuition in reverse. Yes, that's fair to say. You have more to offer than you're currently giving yourself credit for. Intuition in reverse. You're not seeing it still. You have a strong intuition with innate sense of events, thoughts, and feelings of others. Your intuition often manifests in gut feelings that serve as an internal guide. So you're not fully, your gut feelings are trying to guide you towards what's next, what's next, what's next. And you still are like, am I worthy? Am I deserving of this? Am I able to get this much attention and support from like the path that I'm on? And the answer is yes. So as you start to show that I'm getting this gut feeling and I'm reacting immediately and trusting it, you'll start to get deeper and more direct feelings and signs because it opens up the path. What kind of spiritual work are you meant to be doing? Sweetheart, you live from love, seeing the divinity and love beneath the surface and shaping others' world and experiences through the perception of the heart. So triggering people with your ability to love despite everything you've been through. Triggering people with your ability to hold space for them. Where did we get? Intuition. What was the first one? Becoming. Telepathy. Which in reverse. Holding space for people to dump out whatever it is they've been holding back. Oh, that makes sense because that's what you've been doing. You've had to hold it back. So is that what it is? You're holding space for people to feel comfortable, safe, and secure enough to dump what they've been holding back, and how you help them transmute it some way. Is that fair to say? Nurturer. Yep, that's fair to say. A life-changing gift is the influence of a nurturing woman that provides love, support, protection, and encouragement to teach others to grow and develop. Yes, that would be it. Nurturing, so allowing people, holding a safe space for people to release and then helping them transmute by nurturing them through love. So whatever pieces of the puzzle fit into that picture for you, that's what you're meant to be doing. And I wish you the best. This is going to be for BY48. Is divorce in your future? First, I'm going to look at your energy, your partner's energy, and the energy between. 7 of Cups reversed for you. Death reversed for your partner. 5 of Cups reversed for the energy between. You feel like you don't have any other options, or that you've literally tried everything else and nothing has worked to fix whatever's going on here. Death reversed. Let me get a clarifier for death reversed for your partner. Judgment. It's going to be a little direct. Your partner believes that you won't actually leave or go through with any kind of separation. Or if you've tried something and have gone back, it's like your partner thinks that that's the worst that you would do. Your partner doesn't think that any significant change would actually come, so hence not being willing to really work on the things that would fix the relationship, because not actually thinking anything will come of it. 5 of Cups reversed then makes a lot of sense, because it's like there are these clear things that are not working, but we're not talking about it. We're kind of sweeping it under the rug, but like as I said that, I realized that there's a stain on this rug. It's like we're sweeping it under the rug, but it's seeping through the rug, and like we're like, okay, well, there's a stain there on the rug, are we just going to ignore it? And then we're ignoring it, or we're not making the right steps forward. When it comes to divorce, your energy, your partner's energy, and the energy between. Your energy, 2 of Cups reversed. And 9 of Cups on the bottom of the deck. As I was doing this, I was like, that's my guides wanting me to look at what this card is for sure. This would be getting what you want. 2 of Cups is reversed. It seems as though you already pretty much made your mind up. You were just waiting for a confirmation for me. Is that fair to say? 4 of Cups reversed, a change in the environment, and a step backwards from the 5 of Cups. So this is when all the cups spill over. This is like before they spill over. So you're like, if I could go back and change things, I would, but I've tried everything and nothing has worked and I can't go back and change things. So I need to find my happiness again. And it seems as though that the only way to do that is to sever these ties. Is that fair to say? Oh, that escalated quickly. The Fool reversed and the Sun reversed. You're scared to take a leap of faith on yourself, but you're not seeing clearly how it's going to be hard times. But right now, things can't stay as they are. Is that fair to say? 7 of Pentacles reversed. There's like an uprooting that's needed. It's like, even if there's time where you need to stay in your environment before anything were to happen, there needs to be some kind of change because something's weighing really heavily on you. What's his or your partner's energy about divorce? 8 of Pentacles, 3 of Cups reversed. 8 of Pentacles, 3 of Cups reversed. 3 of Cups reversed would be the opposite, or the next one forward from the 2 of Cups reversed. 3 of Cups reversed. Your partner would be a lot more focused on how the divorce looks to the outside than how it is between the 2 of you. So it would be more about kind of what do people think and what are they going to say and all of that. That would kind of be the reaction more so than like, what can we fix? And I think that that is at least partially a defense mechanism from whatever pain he's going through. Wheel of Fortune in reverse. So like, in terms of your partner kind of feels helpless in a way, I guess, because it's like, I don't know how to fix this and I let it get this far and I don't, you know, it's like not expecting consequences for it, expecting you to just kind of let it roll on and on and on and on. 6 of Cups, Page of Pentacles reverse. He's like dropping all the cups out of the thing. 6 of Cups. I would probably expect a childish reaction from your partner if you do talk about this. And it's like, again, more of what other people think and perception from the outside. And I almost feel like that's like a tactic to like trigger you. But I don't think it's going to work. Like trigger you by the way of making you feel like you don't matter and that it matters more what other people think, but that's just a defense mechanism if that does happen. So don't take that personally. So basically, if you're made to feel like, oh, it doesn't matter that you're actually hurt by this, it just matters what other people think, that's just a defense mechanism, because that will trigger you in some way and be able to hurt you if you let it get in there. But now that you know this, that's coming, if this happens, don't let that get in there, because it's not anything personal. That's just a defense mechanism that the ego is unveiling. So what are your next, oh wait, what's the energy between you when it comes to divorce? A whole bunch flipped over. Ace of Swords, 2 of Pentacles. Weighing the truth about your priorities. Is your current reality truly sustainable for much longer? 8 of Wands, 4 of Swords reversed. So taking you out of your peace, able to do so very quickly. So almost you could be going about having a good day. You have to have an experience with your partner and it's like the day gets shot. It's almost like you can just never get the lawnmower all the way started to get stuff heading in a different direction or progress when it comes to working through certain emotions that have resulted from experiences with your partner. It's like you can never get there because you're just kind of cut back down. It's like move forward, cut back down, move forward, cut back down. When it comes to your partner, what's the main trigger for them that's causing them to not be what you need? Manipulative. Let go of wanting to exert power over someone or over a situation. This is about having low self-esteem. So this seems like kind of something that started as a little wound, piled, and was already present when you met, but was kind of buried. So it started to unravel as time went on in your marriage. Basically trying to run from the initial wound that caused whatever the trauma of your partner was. Impatient. Look for patterns of your impatience. Notice the negative physical symptoms it causes you, and take deep breaths to slow down. So basically the internal wound that initially caused the damage in your partner's psyche was buried. That wound wanted attention. So in order to get your partner's attention, it came out as manipulative behavior or manipulative tactics when it comes to emotions, like very strategic about emotions. So basically that wound, the loudspeaker that's letting him know that the wound is there and needs attention, comes out as that manipulation, and that projects onto you as impatience. So just not ever having any patience with you emotionally. Because that's the pattern of how it got to where it is now, in order to be more patient with you, and that I think is part of the tension, that can't be addressed until we trace it back to the root and get to that wound, because the wound is what's saying the coding of what's coming out as emotional manipulation or emotional coldness. It could be as well, because after manipulation goes through a certain course, it just kind of turns into coldness. So it could be that as well, or like distance. So in order to address the impatience with you, we have to trace it back to the root, figure out what that wound is, and unpack that, because that will stop the manipulative coding from what is being projected to you as impatience. What is the main thing that bothers you, that is like unsolvable here? Like, what's the main energy that you're just like, I can't accept it? Fearful and victim. Oh, victim mentality. And this was in reverse. Victim mentality was in reverse. Fearful was upright. You're talking yourself out of your feelings by telling yourself that other people have it worse, or maybe you're reading it wrong, which usually stems from dealing with someone who has narcissistic tendencies and makes you feel that way, makes you feel like, oh, you're wrong, you're crazy, you're overreacting, you're overreaching, all of that. That if you're feeling like you're doing those things, it's not because you're doing those things, it's because it's been programmed into your psyche to intentionally make you believe that you're doing those things so that the other person doesn't have to take accountability for their behavior. So, it's not what you're doing. You're not overreacting. You're not reading into it too much. You're just simply, you're not overreacting. You're simply reacting to what's happening. And that's not wrong, because you're obviously taking time to think about it and say, what am I seeing correctly? What am I seeing incorrectly? What needs to be changed? And unfortunately, the person on the other end of this isn't in that same state of self-awareness. That flew out. Oh, your primary relationship is with yourself. All others are mirrors of it. As you learn to love yourself, you will receive the love you desire from others as well. So you're still coming from a state of love while the other person is not in that same state within themselves. They're having trouble loving themselves, and hence having trouble projecting love onto you because they don't have that generating within them. Weakness leads to strength. Fear leads to courage. Foolishness leads to wisdom. So long as you choose to grow from your mistakes and not try to outrun their consequences. Which is exactly what you're not doing, because you're sitting with these things and you're figuring out what's the next step. How can I heal? Ace of Cups reversed and the Devil. So my question before that card flew out was going to be, is there a turn that could make this go in a different direction? Ace of Cups with the Devil makes me feel like if it was going to happen, if the other person, if your partner was going to be willing to do that hard work, it would have begun to happen by now. And the only thing that could potentially trigger your partner into doing that hard work would be to do the thing that they expect you to never do, which would be to actually take some kind of action in terms of separation. Is that fair to say? Knight of Pentacles reverse or upright, and there's the lawnmower. Yeah, it's like, I won't address my internal issues until there's physical proof outside of me that shows me I have no other option and that a final decision has been set in stone. So it's like, I don't really know if your partner is going to be able to make the changes that you want to see them make until you say, okay, we need to do another step because you think I'm not gonna, and I need to show you that you're wrong because I'm not gonna put up with this anymore. It makes me a little nervous that fearful is one of the cards that came out. I didn't fully address it all the way because this is like a YouTube video, but we need to address those things, not just let them continue on and not just accept them, especially if it's a result of being gaslit for a period of time where you're made to feel like you're wrong so that the other person doesn't have to address their wrongs. What is your soul lesson from this? The law of divine will. Stop waiting for a sign. The universe responds to your beliefs. Stop waiting for a sign. Oh, you're waiting for me to really confirm for you if you should do it or not, I think. So this card that I'm going to pull doesn't have to make sense to me. It just has to make sense to you as like a password. So you basically spiritually were like, I want her to really confirm and finish convincing me. It's like you could convince yourself to 90%, but you need it to know because you've been gaslit that you're not crazy or misreading things. So it's like you needed someone to mirror back to you that 10% so that you knew the 90% was not like delusional or something, which it's not. So anyway, this is a password. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else but you, but this is like your password. That's me telling you that what I'm doing is confirming the element that you wanted me to confirm. If that makes sense. We both know what that means. You need to allow yourself to want to live again. So the one behind this then is the password. I'm not going to go into it, but that's your password. What is your partner's soul lesson? The law of mentalism. Get clarity on your core values and commit to what matters. And it's a girl holding up, it looks like a rear view, like looking in the rear view. Never was able to move forward. Well, get clarity. I wasn't able to understand something that happened to me, and instead of understanding it, I buried it, and it kind of put a little bit of that negative energy in everything I tried to do because it was trying to remind me that it was there to be healed, and I just didn't do it in terms of his energy. So what are your next 3 steps? 10 of Cups, King of Cups reversed, Page of Swords reversed. Ten of Cups, King of Cups reversed. That to me is, we are going to have some kind of talk, or I'm going to come up with some kind of plan, but it's not going to be a back and forth. It's going to be, this is how I feel, this is what I think, this is what my plan is. I've tried to discuss this with you, we've gone back and forth, and there's not really a need for a back and forth. There is a need for me to set my boundaries and tell you what I think and feel and create a system that's going to work for me and let you know what's up instead of like a back and forth. And then Page of Swords is reversed, and he has scissors in his hand, but it's reversed. So to me, this is like a not final decision, but the next step forward isn't okay, bye. But there is a step before you make some kind of final decision that needs to be begun to be enacted. I guess you could say like tying up loose ends, or I don't know, like when something's going to happen and somebody else says something that kind of like puts it in the mind of the other people to kind of prepare them for what's to come, kind of like somehow our government does that sometimes like that. Not the best example, but that's all I can think of on the spot right now. Like kind of like laying the foundation for a deeper conversation that is to come, but it's almost like you need to see, now that you have this information, you need to prove to yourself that you were right in your observation even before you heard this reading, and the reading is a confirmation of the observation that you already had, if that makes sense, because this is a lot about taking your power back that's been taken from you. So it's very important that you understand that like you weren't convinced of anything by anyone. You took the time to sit with your feelings and emotions and acknowledge what was going on, try to make changes, and it just didn't work. It didn't change. Things didn't move forward. So it's about now showing yourself that you crossed all your T's and dotted all your I's, even though you know you did. This is about showing yourself again that you've done that. You've tried the conversations, you've laid out your boundaries, you've said how you feel, you've done these things, so that way later you don't look back and say, but I didn't do this or I didn't do that. It's not about making the decision. The decision in your mind, I believe, has already been made. Is that fair to say? The star reversed. Yeah, it's like you realize that the way forward, the path that you were on wasn't going to lead you to the desires that you had in terms of what you wanted to see happening. So it's like now kind of, I guess, finding a way to let out everything that you were already thinking that you just needed confirmation on. What comes after that? Seven of Pentacles reversed and the Magician reversed. The Magician reversed does make me think of like separation, time apart, not speaking for at least a period of time. Seven of Pentacles reversed makes me think like there's no other option. It's going to have to come to a head here where you're at least going to have to take like a weekend apart or something like that, like upon having said conversation. So I would say that this is saying to anticipate having that foundation laying conversation or whatever, letter, conversation, whatever you feel is right for you. And then expect that after that there should or will be a period where you need a little bit of time to process. Knight of Swords and the Empress. Yeah, like he's on a motorcycle and the Empress is like standing back in your power, taking control of the situation. So to me, this is like gonna need to take a period where you aren't in each other's space after this conversation that you have. That is your next step. And then it's almost like from there, things will start to open up for you and you'll begin to see how to enact the plan that you are creating for yourself. Think of how many people from your past know a version of you that doesn't even exist anymore. Take a moment to admire your growth and how far you have come. You're not giving yourself enough credit, and that's kind of a piece that you need to acknowledge, is how strong you are and how much you've already overcome. It's almost like putting gas in the tank that allows you to continue to move forward. And I wish you the best.